athlete or person? I think that is an all-encompassing question that if you can target yourself as an individual and think like how you can improve on a day-to-day basis. So what I like to do is I'll wake up and I sit there and I'll think like, how can I be a better person today? Who can I treat better? Which maybe some of my athletes will laugh at, but who could I be a better person towards? How can I communicate a little bit better with somebody? But then on top of that, having a day-to-day goal. So you have your day-to-day goals, and then you have that like moderate short-term goal that's like the end of the week or the end of the month, and then you have that yearly goal, and then you have that big spectrum. So as an athlete, you could sit there and say like, how am I gonna be better today than I was yesterday? Well, I'm gonna work on this technical cue, or I'm gonna work on staying a little bit more focused, or staying off my phone, or whatever it could be in training. And then on a weekly basis, well, I wanna throw a little bit further than I did last week, or I wanna lift just a little bit heavier than I did the previous week, or I wanna have better technique than I did last week. And then, you know, on that monthly basis, you can sit there and say the exact same thing. I wanna finish this program stronger than I started. And then that 6-month goal, you're sitting there going, well, I wanna make a team. I want to go somewhere. I want to do this. I want to do that. And for me as a business person, it's also like I want to help more athletes make teams, or for EarthFed Muscle, we want to target this audience a little bit better. And then that long-term goal is, what is the grand vision? What is your big dream? What is your end goal? What is the end goal for you as an athlete? What is the end goal for you as a business? What's the end goal for you as a human, so that when you are dead, when I'm dead, I have in my mind what I want people to remember me as, and what I want my children to see and remember from myself. So I think that if you can do that on a day-to-day basis and make a checklist and have that end goal in mind, but that long ladder of steps along the way, that's gonna get you to the point of accomplishing your dreams and setting things up accordingly. And it also helps you keep things in perspective. And that's what I think is the most effective thing to do, is to keep things in perspective, block out the bullshit, block out the unnecessary drama, the weakness, and the unnecessary stress, and just work forward along that step ladder towards the end goal. The Wim Hof breathing method. My opinion of it is very positive. I think that it's similar to, it's a type of meditation, it's a type of prayer, it's a type of mindfulness. So there's the spiritual, mental focus that you can quiet your mind. Stipe Zunic would call it an empty skull or empty head, and I think that that's important, is that as athletes, as individuals in anything, we have to have that capability of like quieting our mind. And if we study, you know, Eastern philosophy and Confucianism and stuff like that, quiet sitting has been an attribute in human existence since we've been around, since we've existed. Quiet sitting has always been part of managing the daily stress of the mundane world. And I think that Wim Hof is a mental way to achieve mindfulness and to quiet the world and to quiet your brain. But I also think there's a performance advantage to it, where you learn how to fully oxygenate your body and you fully learn how to breathe and to control your breath and to control your mind and to control yourself, your parasympathetic nervous system to relax and be in a much calmer state of existence. And I use it. I used to have blood pressure that was like 145/90. And I actually was just at the doctor 2 days ago, it was 118/65. So, and I'm typically a high-wired person, but I believe that it has a very specific physical attribute where you can learn how to control yourself. And in sports like wrestling or football, it's really good for when you're competing, but also sports like throwing, that you can calm yourself before you approach the circle. You can calm yourself before you approach the bar in weightlifting. And I think that there's a physical side and there's that spiritual, mental side to help you really zero in on what that task is at hand. I think traveling overseas it really puts shit into perspective, because you learn that like you're around some of the best coaches that you could ever be around. You know, when I went to World Championships for track and field in London, I was lucky to talk with Veston, one of the best throws coaches in the world, and he's dealing with the same stuff that I would deal with. And I think that that's where talking with Ray Jones and Kevin Simons, some of the best weightlifting coaches in the US, Mike Gattone, these are all some of the best coaches you could ever want to be around. And you learn that they're dealing with the same things that you are, that I am. And I think like Kevin Simons and I spent like a week in the sauna, was just talking about recovery and training, and his approach is similar and his methods are similar, and it's his ideology and his struggles are similar. And I think that on top of that, then you get to these other countries, a country like Uzbekistan or Ecuador, where people don't have what we have here, or even here at Garage Strength. And I think that that puts things in perspective, so that when someone might come in here and complain, or like not want to be somewhere, or not want to sacrifice certain things or be around certain places, like then you go to Ecuador and you see the training environment and the training situations. You see that the training hall that in Uzbekistan an Olympic champion trained in, and you're going, if this guy can train here and win the Olympics, anywhere in the US can be a place to train and accomplish your dreams and accomplish your goals of reaching that highest point of achievement. So I think that everything gets put into perspective, and everything, you sit there and you realize, you recognize, like, these people are dealing with real stress. They're the ones dealing with things that are a little bit more difficult. And if you can still make that sacrifice, and you can still achieve those goals with any situation that you're in, financially, geographically, emotionally, anything, as long as you know how to handle stress. And I think that that's my overriding lesson from traveling abroad, is that the people who manage stress the best are the ones that are going to be the elite athletes. They're the ones that are going to be the best business owners, the best people in general, because they can handle things that are thrown at them, and they can make sacrifices, and they can adapt to any situation that they're in. If you can't handle a place that you're at, or you can't handle people that you're around, and you want to blame external factors, then in all reality, you probably don't want to be a champion. And I think that that's one of the biggest take homes from traveling abroad, is that you're just around these places and people where they'll sacrifice and handle this negative situation and turn it into a big positive.